Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to tell you a story about this whole L87 recall thing. And I'm holding Miss Annabelle while we're out here. Wanted to get out of the house for a little bit and let you guys say hi and see how healthy she is and how big she's getting. She's growing like a weed. I was at the jam dealer the other day. I was getting parts for the Suburban. And I've noticed that people were all over the place and they were super busy, and it looked like when you looked in people's faces, it looked like they were just overwhelmed. And as I'm cashing out, checking out my parts and stuff, nobody's at the counter right away, and then off to the left there's a glass wall area where people are on computers and they're doing paperwork and just all kinds of things. And I saw this nice lady there, and I said, is anybody from parts here? She said, yeah, just give them a second. Ring the little bell right there in front of you. So I rang the bell. And she said, how are you? And I said, I'm good. I said, I got a question for you. Can I bug you for a second about a GM recall? And she said, yeah, I'm the warranty administrator, so I know about them. And I said, well, can we talk about this L87 recall? And she said, oh, my God. She said, we are getting absolutely bombarded with phone call after phone call after phone call. It's so hard for us to take care of our regular customers and our customers that are coming in for service and stuff when they want to schedule appointments and everything, because so many people are calling in about this L87 recall with these engines failing and stuff. And she said it's been so overwhelming. Sometimes you just see it in the girls' faces. They want to cry because the customers are screaming at you on the phone and demanding an appointment and demanding an engine replacement. And she said, honestly, we don't even have a final fix for it. There's some engines that are getting replaced under the newest revision, which is 002, but they keep changing it. The first notice, 000, was a stop sale. The second notice, 001, was talking about switching oils from 0W20 to 0W40. And then the third notice was 003, which talks about these vehicles are going to be serviced within this date range on the back of the left cylinder head, which is 2024 day 183 and prior to 2021. Now, with that being said, these people want service now, time now, vehicles fixed now, and we can't do that. We can't even check a lot of the status on people's stuff, and there's some people that should be on the list that aren't on the list, and they already have failed engines, and there's no way for them to have any kind of provision for it to be taken care of right now. And she said, trust me, the customers, it's more than in their right to be upset and calling and stuff like that. But she said, we just can't even get to our normal stuff that we normally do. It's hard to complete our jobs by the end of the day. She said it's just so overwhelming with a lot of the social media influencers and GM authority and the people that GM shared the information with, the NHTSA putting the information out on the web, the World Wide Web, and now everybody knows about it. Everybody's talking about this story. She's like, and we don't even have a fix for it. We literally don't even have a fix for it. And she said it's just put a new engine in it and hope it lasts. And then in the new engine, it's not getting 0W40, it's getting 0W20, the same oil that was being put in the engine prior to the new engine. So she's like, everybody's under this impression that they're all going to get this 0W40 supercar oil, and she said that's not happening. So I guess there's 3 different revisions, but they're all 3 different recalls. 001 is one recall for the stop sale. 002 is one recall for the oil change stuff, where they go from 0W20 to 0W40, and or 001 is where they go from 0W20 to 0W40. And then 002 is engine replacement date range. I was told by a GM tech that they're not revisions, they're each one individually a recall, all for the same L87 engine. Then I was actually told by another GM tech, people are bringing their trucks in like crazy and stuff, and they're requesting appointments, and there's nothing we can do. They don't even have a fix for it. There's no guarantee. Actually, the one guy said, he said, not only have I been doing L87s, I've been doing the 5.3s and the new Silverados and Sierras and stuff too. He said it hasn't been just L87s. He said we had two 5.3s come in this week, and both of them had cylinder 7 piston was foul, or the piston and the cylinder wall material was ripped away on half of the cylinder wall, and the spark plug had oil just covered all over it because oil's getting past the rings because the wall's all ripped away and it's not able to scrape the wall anymore, and it's fouling out the plug. So now we have engine damage, and he said it's the lifters failing, 5.3 cylinder wall material being pulled away. He said it's not just L87 engines. We have a feeling it's this lightweight oil that they're putting in here, and it's just a very, very, very bad idea to be doing this. So I definitely sympathize with the whole dealer being overwhelmed, but I gotta take it on behalf of the consumer on this one. You know, it's everybody has a right when you're buying a $70,000 vehicle to be upset when you didn't even do anything wrong and you haven't even hit the first oil change and you got a rod through the block, or a lifter failing, or the cylinder wall material being ripped away from. You know, it's ridiculous. One of the techs also popped up, and he said when we pull the 6.2s apart after they have failure, whenever you take a bore measuring device and put it down the mains, they are not machined correctly. He said they're not line bored like they're supposed to be. And on those L87s, the 6.2s, he said, I have a feeling not only is it just bearing failure, it's also the fact that it's not being manufactured correctly. That's why they're wanting to put new engines in a lot of these trucks. So I guess it's just a matter of the dealers are going to have to slug it out. The manufacturers are going to have to slug it out. I know they're playing damage control right now. And I know it's probably extremely hard to figure out how they're going to fix this and what they're going to do. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people very, very upset, and especially with the extended warranties. Some of the people have a vehicle that's built within 21 to 24, and they've had engine failures, and their extended warranties are not covering the engine replacement because there is an active recall out, and they're waiting to see how GM takes care of it. Instead of them losing, $10, $12, $13,000, they'd rather wait, make the customer wait, and see if GM's going to come up with a fix for these other people that aren't on the VIN list, and just let them continue to try to sort things out and do the best that they can. I felt so bad for that girl at the GM dealer, because I know everybody's entitled to being very upset about this whole thing, because that's a lot of money to put out for a failure that's probably going to end up happening again. And GM should be on the hook for it. I feel bad for the people at the dealership. It's not their fault. They're not the ones that did it. They didn't manufacture it that way. So, but I'm still going to always side on the consumer side, because this consumer gets screwed royally every time stuff like this happens. And just to see the GM techs pop up and say the 5.3 is it's not doing the same exact thing that the 6.2 is, but the 5.3, we're having fouled plugs, lifter issues, oil supply issues to the AFM. They're no saint. They're still having problems to this day with the newer 5.3 AFM system as well. And with this guy today really dumping this on my lap, showing me or telling me what, I'll throw it in here real quick. He says, of the 5.3 engines with different failures, had 2 in the same week was misfiring on cylinder 7, spark plug oil fouled, and damage to the cylinder wall, both less than 5,000 miles. As for the L87, early tech investigations tend to look like a mismachined block, as it seems the line bore is out of line. Lots of poor build quality rolling around around out there. And I've seen this happen before with some of the bigger V8s on the Mercedes 6.2 liter, the naturally aspirated one. When I pulled the plug, I think it was on the passenger side, it was a third one back, third or fourth one, but third one back. I don't really know on a Mercedes which cylinder that is, what they consider that. When I pulled that plug out and had the piston all the way at bottom dead center, when I pulled the plug out, it was just completely full of oil, and they had just done a tune-up. My shop did a tune-up on that vehicle to see if it would stop misfiring. And I said, let's throw a bore scope down inside there and actually look at the valves and stuff like that and see what type of issue we're working with inside that cylinder. And when I stuck the bore scope in there to figure out what was going on, half of the material all the way around the cylinder wall all the way down was just ripped off. And I guess it's a common thing in those earlier 6.2s or mid-2000 model 6.2s in the AMGs is they did that. The material would literally rip away from the cylinder wall, and you get oil past the rings onto the plugs and foul them out. And that's the same thing that's going on with these L83 or whatever 5.3 liter and the newer Silverados and Sierras and stuff like that, you know. So it's pretty sad that we're going through this right now, and I feel really bad for the consumer because they're going to get screwed. I wish the EPA would have never got involved with manufacturing of our vehicles and putting restrictions and stuff, because now even Toyota, their 3.5 boosted application, the Tundras, it's been having issues for years now. The Tacoma, this new four-cylinder, turbo four-cylinder, is supposed to be consuming oil and going through engines like crazy. So quality is really, really, really going downhill, unfortunately, and there's not very much we can do about it other than hold on to our older stuff, fix our older vehicles, keep them maintained and on the road, or buy vehicles that we actually know work that aren't brand new, you know, past 21, 22, whatever. Yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to show you what the GM tech was saying and show you a little snippet of what he had to say, and talk to you about that office visit that I had, or that GM parts store visit. And I feel bad for the employees because it's not their fault, but I have to side with the consumer because they have, excuse me, every right to be that way. We just ate dinner, so eggs and bacon for dinner. I didn't want to cook anything else. I felt like breakfast for dinner, and that's it. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and I hope this helps you. It doesn't make you more mad than what you already are, but I just wanted to talk about it real quick.